everyone, this is Delight, and I thought that I would do a video kind of reminiscent of childhood stories. I'm not sure if there's been a tag done about this or not, but we thought it'd be fun to just talk about some of my childhood stories that I grew up on, and I'd really love to hear what kind of stories you grew up on. Some of them may be the same. So that would be fun. But before we do that, I also wanted to show you a garage sale find. Quite a while back, there was a tag going around about our childhood dolls, and of course I had many childhood dolls, but one of them that I had talked about was a Timey Tell, and I no longer knew where my Timey Tell was, but I happened to find this one at a garage sale just recently. And she was actually in pretty good shape. I haven't spent any time with cleaning her up or doing her hair or anything, but it looks like it's pretty good. I think if I just give it a work over it, it's going to look pretty good. And she even has her original dress. I'd like to take that off and wash it. Well, it's kind of dingy looking, but that was pretty amazing. She still had her original dress on. And this doll had a watch, and she came with all kinds of little accessories and also a watch for the child that would get the doll too. And I remember I had the watch. But hers, you could turn the dial and set it to whatever time you wanted to be. And I'm going to set it here at 2 o'clock. And unfortunately, this one does not work. But then she had a string in the back. And if you pulled it, if it was set at 2 o'clock, she would say, 2 o'clock, time for tea. That's one of them I remember anyway. But she doesn't work anymore. Her voice box doesn't work. But yeah, I don't remember what the other things were offhand, but then she came with a little tea set, and she came with other little things that went along with the different things that she would say around the clock. So it was kind of a fun doll. And it was kind of a fun thing to find her. I got her for just $1 at a garage sale. So I thought it was worth $1 to be able to show her to my girls. And then about stories. I actually grew up on a lot of Bible stories and didn't have a lot of what I call silly stories, but there were some classics that I still read to my children today. You know, of course, the Eloise Wilkins stories, and I had a lot of Eloise Wilkins books, and I think most of those really got worn out to death, but I found this online, and it's a kind of a compilation of Eloise Wilkins stories. I remember that my favorite one was Baby Deer. I think here's the pictures of Baby Deer, and I know a lot of you remember that story. And the doll that went along with that, which I had, and still hope to find that doll someday. But yeah, I just loved her illustrations, and that was one that I enjoyed reading over and over again. And some of the others I grew up on are Home for a Bunny. I don't know if any of you remember this one, but it had such cute, sweet illustrations of animals. And the story is about a little bunny who's looking for a home, and he goes down the road and down the road looking for a home, and he runs into different animals that won't share their home with him until finally he finds another bunny, and then they become friends. And that's a cute story. And Little Cottontail, these are all little golden books. These would be from like the 60s. I was born in 1964, so that era of stories. And this little rabbit is learning from his mommy how to take care of himself in the wild and run from foxes and all that kind of thing. And here's another Eloise Wilkins book about God. It's just a really beautiful story. And then, oh, Frog and Toad Are Friends. That was one of my favorite. I always loved frogs and toads. And these are silly little stories of a frog and a toad that are friends, and they get into all kinds of adventures and messes and scrapes. And they help each other out of these predicaments that they get into. And I just thought the illustrations are so cute. The little frog's body. I always love the frog within the toad's even cuter. There he is. He's just hilarious. So I read that one over and over. And then there were the Little Bear books, and this is about a little bear and his mama. I'm not sure how you pronounce that illustrator's name, that Maurice Sendak. Yeah, I loved his drawings, very wild looking. And the little bear is so cute. Little bear's asking for a coat because he's cold. He keeps asking for a hat and then a coat and stuff to keep him warm, and then he decides in the end that his fur was actually the warmest of all. And then he's waiting to have his birthday party. Oh, here he wants to go to the moon, and he pretends he goes to the moon. Yeah, anyway, kind of cute little stories. And then you probably are, a lot of you familiar with Little Arch books. They were Bible stories with very interesting illustrations about the little lost lamb, the house on the rock, Jonah, of course, man caught by a fish, and Daniel in the lion's den. But there was dozens, absolutely dozens of these Bible story books, and we had most of them when I was young. Read them over and over and over again. Oh, here's Harry the Dirty Dog. That was one of my favorites too. About the little dog who doesn't like a bath, and he goes and he takes his scrubbing brush and he runs away with it and digs a hole in the ground and buries it. Then he goes off to town and has so much fun getting as dirty as he wants. And he keeps getting dirtier and dirtier and dirtier until he changes from a white dog with black spots into a black dog with white spots. Then he finally gets tired and wants to go home, but his family doesn't recognize him because he is so dirty. He does all his tricks and they still don't recognize him. And finally he remembers, oh, he can go dig up his scrubbing brush. So he goes and gets the scrubbing brush and runs into the house, and they all think, oh, this poor little dog wants a bath, so they give him a bath. And while they're scrubbing him, they suddenly realize, it is Harry! It's Harry! They cried. And he once again turned into a white dog with black spots. And then, of course, we can't forget the Little House on the Prairie stories. I had the whole collection of Little House on the Prairie books, and my mother loved to read them to me at night. And she read them to me over and over and over, all through my childhood years. And then I went on to reading them myself, and now I've read them to my children too many times. So they are a classic. So yeah, those were just a few of my childhood stories. And it would really be fun to see if you, or hear if you had read any of the same ones, or you might remind me of some that I wasn't thinking of too. So it'd be a fun tag, I think. So please join us on that. And here's my little Levi. He's all being snuggly and cute. So yeah, I hope you all had fun over this week, and probably many of you got to see the eclipse where we were. It was very cloudy, and we thought we weren't going to be able to see it at all until right at what was peak for us, which I think the most it got to be is maybe about 80% covered here. But right at that time, there happened to be a little break in the clouds, and we all ran out, and we got to see the eclipse for a little bit. So that was fun. The children thought that was neat to see. Although it wasn't as spectacular as we thought it was going to be. But maybe it was where you could be in the total eclipse. It probably was more dramatic. So anyway, I hope you have a good week, and yeah, hope to hear from you soon. Bye.